Hello, beautiful souls. I am so excited to be here. I know it's been a while. Wow, there's been so much going on. How are you all feeling? Holy cow. I miss you all. I feel you all. I love you all so much. I've been integrating a lot. I know I kind of shared about that, and I haven't been on here as much as I thought I'd like to, but I'm realizing now with where I'm currently at, that's been for a reason because what you've probably all seen from multiple individuals and what my guides have really been sending in for me is we're kind of in this calm before the storm. Um, I was just on Instagram right before this and I saw someone post that right before I hopped on because that was a message I had in my journal for the past few weeks. Is yeah, there's still a lot of chaos going on in this world, but we're in this part of our collective consciousness where the craziness has become the new normal. So from one perspective, it's not as crazy anymore. Um, like, do any of you? My cousins and I were laughing over Labor Day. Um, do you know? Like, I'm not going to do this justice, but there's that website or forum called The Onion, and they just do like ridiculous kind of joke posts. Um, and we were all just laughing. We're like, honestly, the joke posts that The Onion does seem like real headlines at this point because nothing can really surprise us anymore. The weirdest things that you could think of, we'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's just another thing that's going on. So, from that perspective, the weird has become the norm. And what that does is it creates a collective energetic resonance throughout all of us of just kind of calmness. And I'm not trying to downplay any of the hurt or grief that people are experiencing, but it has kind of created a calm. And so when you hear the calm before the storm, that's kind of what's going on. And also just because we're all realizing our own sovereign power and that we don't need to be as scared as most of us have been um, this year. We're realizing we don't need to be. Obviously, with elections coming up, things are just going to get weirder, but we're prepared for that. So, this is why it's so important to really step into your own true power right now. Regardless what happens in the election, that's in the future. That is not this present time. And a lot of people want to live in that and want to know the who, what, when, where, whys, ifs, buts, hows, all the questions. And again, all that's going to do is spread your consciousness very thin and keep you out of your present state of power and of resonance and of clarity. And so, a huge thing that my guides have really been drawing for me and for the collective is to stay very present. I know we all hear that all the time, but you're actually going to realize the power of that because when you stay present, you're not allowing any future timelines that haven't happened to create an energetic or emotional frequency within your system that isn't even worth your time. Does that make sense? So if you think about, I even say the election, I say that statement, the presidential election. When I say that, feel what happens in your body. What emotions or triggers or fears or resistances or thoughts pop up immediately? And did it feel good? Like, probably not. Um, and regardless, that's not the point. It's just be very aware of what is bringing emotional triggers up in you right now because that means you're not supposed to focus on it as hard as you have been. Because when you try to project your consciousness into the future or try to control something that hasn't happened or live in a timeline that hasn't happened yet, all you're doing is creating so much pain within you and people around you that are attached to your energetic field as well that it just is not necessary. And so, first of all, call back your power, stop spreading your consciousness so thin, and stop trying to mess up all these timelines that are already in play. Remember, from to where we're going, we're stepping into a fifth dimensional consciousness. We're stepping into a higher dimensional consciousness. And in there's no polarity. And so, what we're doing right now, what we're trying to do right now in this 3D or 4D reality is to live in more of a fifth dimensional reality in order to draw it to this timeline faster, if that makes sense. So we're not living in the future and thinking about the future. We're living now and choosing, oh, I am in the fifth dimensional frequency now, which means I am not going to think in a polarized system. I'm going to live this now. I'm not going to say, oh, in the future we'll be there, so I'm just going to stress and worry about how to get there. It's like, no, just shift that timeline, bring it to your now moment if that's really what you're wanting to do. and start from there. And so when we say polarization, it's you don't want to look at any of these emotional triggers as good or bad. You're starting to realize that everything has a job, everything is doing its job. Um, and oh, so the dark and light, that's how we got on that. Thank you. Is so the dark and light, again, that already is creating a polarization. So if we want, so let's go third and fourth dimensional, just so when I do say dark and light, we're still in that, like it is still kind of polarized. When you try to attack, or us light workers try to attack and judge and devalue what the darkness is doing, yes, from one perspective, we have the right intentions when we're doing that, but what you're actually doing, regardless, the darkness doesn't care what you're thinking about it. It just cares that you're looking at it. It does not care what you're thinking about it. Let me say that again. It doesn't care. You could be thinking the worst things about it. It doesn't care. It goes, awesome, you're just paying attention to me. That's all I wanted. Because again, I say this every single video, is what you place your attention on. What consciousness does is what you place your attention on is it expands whatever you're focusing on. This can be an emotion. This could be a person. This could be a situation. It just expands. And I've heard or we've talked about, I can't remember if I said this in a video, but picture like a piece of white computer paper, and you just see a beautiful piece of white computer paper, and then someone takes a black Sharpie and puts a black dot right in the middle of that piece of paper. What are you going to notice? You're going to probably notice that black dot, but how much white light is around that dot still? And it's almost like by you focusing on that black dot, that's all you're seeing from your perspective. And it's like you almost forget to look at the light that's still there and it's still way bigger. It's just what you focus your attention on seems to expand. Even though that dot's not physically expanding to the size of the paper, your consciousness is allowing all of your attention to focus on it. Does that make sense? And so that's what's kind of happening as a collective, as a lot of people in a fear-based reality see one thing that really shouldn't be that scary, and they just blow it up in their consciousness. And then what happens is when other people are tapped into that same fear, it's easy for them to have it blown up. And so then the fear looks way, way, way bigger than it really is. And so it's just, we don't need to focus on that timeline. But again, from a third and fourth dimensional reality, what's happening is this darkness is just wanting us to come over into its timeline. There are two timelines. We've made the New Earth split. We made that a while ago. I made some videos about that a few videos back. I think March was when it really kind of split into the two timelines. There's so many timelines, but the main two timelines, New Earth and Old Earth, or dark and light, whatever the polarization, whatever you want to look at it like. What's happening is there's two timelines that individuals can go on at this point from a base perspective. And all the darkness wants is us to focus on their timeline, because when we focus on it, it kind of pulls us over into it. Okay? And so it's okay if you sometimes pop into that timeline and you pop into their timeline of fear and anger and judgment and all this crazy shit going on. It's okay. Do not judge yourself if that happens, because sometimes you physically, I've had some clients and their guides are like, you're supposed to be in that darker timeline right now so that you can feel what it feels like to hop back and forth. You're physically supposed to be there. So if you judge yourself while you're still in alignment with your divine purpose, because you're supposed to be experiencing it for reasons that are beyond your comprehension so that you can heal and help others shift over into a higher reality, like you don't even understand why you might be in that reality. So don't judge yourself is what that point is if you seem to be focusing on that, understand that we are in a free will planet and you are a sovereign being, and that can never be taken away from you. And so if you find yourself in the lower timeline and you're like, ooh, they caught my attention there, all you have to do is the fact that you just noticed, like, whoa, okay, sorry, I'm waking up again. Like, I just saw that I was living in a fear-based reality. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to thank this reality in this present now moment. I realize that it doesn't feel good, and I'm going to hop back over into the other timeline. And so what the other timeline is, this higher timeline that us light workers are creating, that's exactly what we're doing. We're creating something new. This new timeline, this other higher dimensional timeline, isn't something that's been around before. And that's what's super important for all of us light workers to realize. And I've probably said this in a lot of videos as well, but we are not going to, how do we want to say this? We are creating an entire new paradigm, an entire new reality that has never been created before. So we can't compare it to other things that have been created. What we do is we're pulling things out of our soul matrix, out of our heart, out of these manifestations that we are envisioning in our hearts, and we're bringing them to life. That whatever you bring out of your heart into this world has never been created before. I'm just going to say that now. So don't compare yourself to what has been done or to what other people are doing, because we need your own creations. We need you to step into your own power and be your own unique self. But this higher dimensional timeline is just, it's what's happening is us light workers have created it, and we've chosen to see the dark timeline, to understand that it can't pull us in, but we can still look at it. If you look at it, you might feel a little bit of fear, but you'll see that you're not fully in that timeline. You're just looking at it. You're experiencing like, ooh, that's what it might feel like if I was in that timeline. And then you go, okay, that's enough. And you look away from it to create something new. I have said this so many times, and I'm going to repeat it forever. So hopefully it starts resonating on deeper levels of your being, because it's so important to realize, like, we can do this. We already have done this. It's already written in the Akashic records. But you have your free will choice of which timeline you want to live in. It's as simple as that. And it's not your responsibility to drag people over into a timeline with you, because they might be living their perfect reality. They are living their perfect reality that they're meant to. If they choose with their free will to come with you to that timeline, perfect. Like, bring them along. So a huge way to kind of shift and kind of stay anchored in the higher timeline is forgiveness. Self-forgiveness is so important right now. So we're actually having Archangel Zadkiel. He's stepping in right now. You're going to feel he's coming as his male aspect. He's coming in he's cloaked in these beautiful, deep purple gowns. He has this long black hair. Oh, beautiful. And you're going to feel a dove. Okay, so you're getting a little activation by just witnessing this right now, even if you're watching the replay. There's a dove that's, he's opening his hands, and there's this beautiful dove, and he's above your head, and this dove is starting to shift down through your crown, and it's beginning to anchor within your heart and your throat chakra, and its wings are kind of spreading down your shoulders. It's just allow this to happen. Just open your chakras and just allow. This is being directed by all of your higher selves. He's here to just, first of all, anchor peace within your being. But so he stepped forward when I began to talk about self-forgiveness, because self-forgiveness is, at a root level, it's all about comfort and compassion. Okay, I'm just going to see where he wants to go with this. So when you are being fully compassionate with yourself, or you're wanting to feel comforted, you realize that the first person that can comfort you is yourself. There might be individuals or family members or your partner that knows how to comfort you, but what's most important is that you know how to comfort yourself. And a way to do that is to forgive yourself, because then, okay, we're going to go there, but with emotions, every emotion has a deeper layer in it. There's kind of a base for every emotion. The base for every emotion is love, but there's also little there's basically levels or layers to every emotion. And so with forgiveness, what's under that is comfort and compassion. So when you're wanting that comfort, what's going to happen is you're going to always, or that forgiveness, you're going to have to comfort yourself through it, because it's not going to be comfortable. And so when you're not comfortable, you're looking for comfort. That's kind of just what happens. And so when you're feeling hurt, so he's coming in because the world on a collective level is experiencing this, as well as an individual level, as we're experiencing grief, we're experiencing hurt and fear. That's kind of just what's happening. Like, there's so many layers to that, but at a base level, like grief, hurt, and fear is what's happening. And this is awesome, but you have the power to just change it like that. Like, bring in your Harry Potter wand, or Archangel Zadkiel. He wove his wand around. So what happens is Zadkiel is here, and what he's showing you that. So first of all, what archangels do is they're here to just show you what you can do for yourself, but they're here to kind of lead the way so that they can be an example. They can be a mirror for you. He's saying, please do not place me up on a pedestal. He wants you to understand that I'm just here to show you and be your equal, that you can do this exactly the same way I'm going to do this for you. But someone has to kind of show you the way. That's just how it works. That's like children learning from adults, and then they step into their power. So what happens is when your heart's been wounded, what happens is Zadkiel will step in, or you can step in for yourself, and just with a conscious attention and intention say, I choose to open my heart. I choose to open my heart. Your heart can never actually be broken. You can just hold on to frequencies around that heart center that don't feel good, so you feel like something's there. But I promise you, your love, your sovereign power can never be taken away from you. So when you choose to look under at your deepest level of that love that's still there, no matter how much fear or grief you're sitting in, it's still there. And when you say, I choose to work with my love, I choose to open my heart, you'll immediately shift your consciousness into a higher vibration, into a level of, with my free will, I'm choosing divine will, which means I'm choosing to work with the divine power within me. I choose to open my heart. I choose to work with my divine will. And you're immediately just going to feel a little flush of energy come about. And what that does is it connects you to your spiritual self. So we all, at the same time, we're all quantum beings. We all are living in multidimensional realities. You don't even have to understand that, but you have to start believing or saying, what if, or why not? Those are the huge statements of, I have a spiritual self and I have a physical self, and I'm living both at the exact same time. What if, why not? So what happens is when you say, I choose to open my heart, I choose to work with my divine will, it connects your physical self to your spiritual self. So that's kind of the first step. And then what happens from there is it assists you, it immediately will bring you to parts, either memories or triggers or emotions or parts of your body. Because when your spiritual and physical self connect, you'll feel in your physical body, sometimes it comes as physical pain, but parts of your body where forgiveness is needed. So forgiveness of yourself or forgiveness of others, because what this is a very deep healing of emotional wounds. We all have emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual light bodies. When we start healing from a deeper level of just by connecting to our spiritual self, which is all of those levels, it starts healing our emotional bodies, which our emotional bodies are, every single time I've done a healing, it's someone will have a physical pain in their back or their shoulder or their chest. Unless they were physically, they know exactly what hurt it if they were lifting or doing something. If it just starts hurting and they were wanting it fixed, it's always lying in their emotional body. And the only way, because sometimes some people don't see emotional bodies like I do. Most people don't, and that's okay. So what it does, the emotional body still has to get your attention somehow. And so you're going to think it's your physical body, but it's your emotional body because it's touching you. And some people just only look at their physical body and think that's all there is. So that's okay. And that's okay. Don't judge yourself for that. If that's all that you might think there is, then your emotional body works with that. Your emotional body works with whatever level of consciousness you're at and goes, okay, I'm hurting here, so I'm going to make her feel this pain here so that she'll focus on it. Like, that's all it is. And so what if, why not? And so what's happening is you're bringing a new sense of compassion to any situation in order to show you how to see things from a different perspective. So that's a main message Zadkiel is wanting to say. He's also saying it's very important to be okay with broadening your awareness, understanding that wisdom and love are those female aspects of ourselves that we're learning to balance with our male aspect, which is will. So that wisdom, that female aspect of ourself, is really understanding that everyone has their own perspective and that that's perfectly normal and natural and okay and actually needed, and that we're sincerely okay with people having their own perspectives. That is being just very intelligent, very full of wisdom when you are understanding that. And this is what happens when you start to forgive yourself. So broadening your awareness, seeing individuals having your own perspectives, and releasing judgment on whatever is coming up. Another thing is fostering a deeper understanding of other humans. So again, that comes with the love and the wisdom. And then, the wisdom's a huge part. And then being okay with asking for help. Okay, so vulnerability. Asking for, I am judging myself, or I am judging this person, or I don't know how I can ever forgive myself or ever forgive this person. And you can either spiral down that spiral, or you can just say, I need help. I need help. Higher self, Zadkiel, I need help. And watch what your ego does. Just watch. It might pop up and be like, I can do this myself. Like, who knows? My ego says all sorts of crazy things, but regardless, don't judge it. Just observe, because that's the first step of connecting with your spiritual and physical self together. So if you have wounds that are kind of preventing you from living life fully, or if you need to look at yourself with deeper compassion, this is when you call in Archangel Zadkiel. So he's going to give some mantra. He's saying, I show compassion for myself and others always. That's a mantra you can start with. I show compassion for myself and others always. Another statement is, Archangel Zadkiel, please bring me emotional healing and forgiveness to my life. Archangel Zadkiel, please bring emotional healing and forgiveness into my life. Okay, so that's a really big one. Okay, sorry, I think my computer is going to freeze, so I'm going to stop it here and I'll start another one and connect it. 1 second. Okay, hi, I'm back. Okay, so we left it at forgiveness and Archangel Zadkiel. So I hope that helps. Just remember, as the collective continues to purge all of this shit going on, we are directly connected to this planet. Whether you want to believe that or not, you're experiencing what it feels like to be connected to the collective, to be connected to the planet. So as the planet and collective shifts, we internally shift as well. That's how we kind of keep up with the planet that we're living on. You can look at it like we are all cells in Mother Earth's body. So as the planet shifts and purges all of this stuff, we will be purging a lot of stuff, understanding that there's a way bigger thing going on out there. All of our gross programs that we don't want to hold on to any longer, everything that we have had fear around or anger and triggers towards, they're all being shown at once. It's kind of like, that's a lot. And so, first of all, understanding that everything, you have the chance to look at everything from a higher perspective, from a different perspective. And so when you look at all of the ugly shit coming up for you or for the collective, and you look at it from a higher perspective of, even if I don't, and you say this to yourself, even if I don't fully understand what's going on, even if I don't like what's coming up, even if this hurts, I know that there is something bigger going on here, and that I am meant to be looking at myself from this new perspective, that I am meant to be looking at the collective from this new perspective. And I forgive myself for every single thing I've gone through, because I understand that I physically cannot move forward if I don't forgive myself. The forgiveness is going to give you such a powerful self-love boundary that is so necessary to move through the times that we are in and that we are still continuing to shift into, because again, things are just going to get crazier, if you want to call it that. But again, we're not going to look at that from a fear standpoint. We're going to look at that from excitement, or just from a neutrality standpoint of observing that this is all meant to be happening. I forgive everything that's happened. I forgive myself at this present now moment, and I choose to move forward from this blank slate. That's it. I don't care. I'm not attaching myself or sending my consciousness back into the past and attaching myself to suffering, because that's not doing good for anyone. That is only doing harm. Fear is only doing harm, and it is only going to put individuals who are in fear into that lower timeline. That is a free will choice that you can step into. You don't have to shift into a higher perspective. I'm just here to soften the blow that this is what's naturally happening. The planet is naturally supposed to shift every 25,000 years, and it's happening right now. In this lifetime, we will make the shift. And it's very exciting, but it's also like, hey, this is the new normal. Why not work with nature rather than against it? So another huge energy for it's my higher self stepping in and is asking me to talk about the energy of silencing your thoughts. Because again, like I kind of mentioned, we're in that calm of the storm right now. Or there's just absolute chaos. Chaos might just be happening in your life, and it's like, how could I ever silence my thoughts? Because our minds and our lives, as we're seeing, are constantly full of chatter. And we're beginning to realize that we cannot rely on the illusion of this physical reality to help us feel safe. We're realizing that the only thing that can help us feel safe is our own internal power, our own internal guidance and perspectives. Because if Sashwin or whatever happens to this world, we will all still be here. We're all still powerful souls that live on forever, and we're going to be able to handle our lives and create a whole new world from this new perspective. So anyways, just don't tap into the fear, because all that fear is doing is showing you that this this reality that we're used to has all been an illusion, and it's all breaking down. The male patriarchy is breaking down. The matriarchy, the female energy, is stepping forward. That doesn't mean just females. It means the female aspect of every soul here. So even the males are meant to be anchoring their female aspects of themselves right now. Thank you, males, for all you've done for us for the past 25,000 years. We're grateful. We needed the strength and the protection back then, but we don't need it anymore. So stop trying to control us. The patriarchy's breaking down, and the love and the creativity and the intuition and the compassion of the females is stepping forward and is being the way showers for where this world's meant to go. So, okay, sorry, higher self saying, so silencing our thoughts as chaos continues. What's happening is our minds or our lives are constantly full of chatter, and it's keeping us in a state of stress because we're choosing to focus on the chatter. And when you focus on things that don't keep you present and silent, it creates an emotional frequency of stress, or what it is, it's technically just a bunch of frequencies bouncing around in your brain, and your body manifests that into your physical body as stress. So worrying about the past or worrying about the future or just listening to the chatter is going to prevent you from experiencing the present moment. So it's really important to learn to quiet your mind in order to dispel or get rid of any of that unnecessary chatter or any of those negative thoughts, because again, a lot of that chatter is from the ego, because silence and your heart doesn't chatter. So anytime there is chattering, it's mostly the ego, and just what comes along with the ego is some negative aspects that don't make us feel too good. So when you quiet your thoughts and you release yourself from all of this chatter or negativity, what's going to happen is you're going to realize the only way that's easiest to do that is to find time alone, and to go into your own self, to realize, how many times have you heard it? Stop looking on the outside of you, look on the inside. Call back all those past lifetimes when you were living in pure states of bliss and unconditional silence. You were just meditating as a monk in a cave, or a mermaid, or you were in constant states of bliss. We're meant to call back those lifetimes right now in order to use them so that we can still be in that full state of bliss while there's absolute chaos going on outside of us. So you've done this before. You would not be on this planet if you couldn't do that. Every soul here is here for a reason, because we can handle what's about to happen and what is happening. So your guides, first of all, want to say that to you, and they always do, is like, put yourself up on that pedestal. Every single one of us here are those versions of our family of light, of our team, or of our guides that chose and were able to come down here to earth to handle this polarization and to handle a shift in a physical reality. You don't understand how rare that is and how powerful you are for the fact that you can handle that and that your soul chose to come and do that. So find that time and place, or if you have any memories and you're working with past life memories, if not, find those times or place where you can silence your thoughts and you do feel fully present. And then practice it as a meditation, because it'll become easier and easier over time. So you'll start looking at things from a new perspective of not allowing the mind to control or judge your reality. So if you feel yourself judging, but you're in that state of silence or meditation, or just taking 5 minutes to yourself, and you feel stuff come up, again, just observe it and understand that's just programs that are meant to be released and noticed from me. Things can only be released out of your system when you notice them. Does that make sense? Like, I know that sounds pretty elementary, but that's why everything's coming up, because how souls and physical realities shift, how human beings shift planets and matrices is by seeing them. We have to physically see something in order to change it. We can see by feeling, hearing, seeing, knowing. There's a bunch of different versions of seeing, but we still have to acknowledge, might be a better term. We have to acknowledge something in order to change it. So in order to acknowledge a program we have to get rid of, we have to feel it and see it right in front of us. And sometimes that's ugly, and you might feel like you're dying because you're physically detaching from a program and you're killing that aspect of yourself. That's a harsh term. Sorry, I don't like that term, but you're detaching, and sometimes that can feel like you're dying. So we're not meant to change how it feels when we detach from a program. All we're meant to do is to love ourselves even more, to love yourself more than ever. when those ugliest parts of you come to the surface. Just love yourself, give yourself a hug, do some sort of self-care routine when all of that starts coming up. So a huge energy my higher self is saying for the collective right now as well. 3 terms to focus on is self-honesty, celebration, and follow through. Self-honesty, being so honest with yourself and what's coming up, finding a healer or a reader or someone to show you if you don't want to look at your own stuff. Have someone tell you what you might need to start focusing on. Be super honest with yourself. Celebrate everything going on. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate the subtle wins are huge. When you say you're in a situation or conversation with someone and you react differently and from a higher perspective or from a higher vibration, celebrate that. Notice the fact that you didn't react how you might have reacted in the past. Just notice all of the small wins, because what that's doing is it's building those muscles, it's building that armor, and attracting at the same time more situations to you that you're going to win at. And then follow through is continue this process. Use that divine masculine aspect of yourself to have that divine will to do something, to get the job done and follow through on what your guidance is telling you to do. Even if that means go relax, go take a nap, go take a bath, follow through on that. Even if that means go on a play date with your inner child, eat that ice cream, like do something for yourself, follow through on it. It doesn't matter what the follow through is. It's just do not turn yourself down. It's all about focusing on yourself right now, but from such a deep level. The entire planet is coming together right now. The entire galaxy is coming together. We're being the way showers for it. On a galactic level, again, in my past, I think it was like 2 videos or whatever video, and I showed the dimensions and how there's about 12 undertones between each dimension. And we're on like the 5th or 6th, we're actually now around the 7th to 8th dimension of the 4th, or undertone of the 4th dimension. You don't have to understand this, just go back to that video. But what's happening there is the higher and closer we get to the 5th dimension, the more that unity begins to come in. And what that means, of course, is everything's coming together. Unity does not mean that everyone has to be the same. We got to get that really clear on this planet, is we do not need the same religion. We do not need the same ideas or creations or emotions or people or skin color. Oh God, I just get like gross chills thinking about us all being the same. Unity means that we all respect exactly how unique every single one of us are. We just respect it, and that's it. Cut the bullshit and stop not respecting each other. It does not mean changing someone or changing the perspectives of someone and changing them into you. You would actually, I promise, every single one of you would hate if there was a bunch of clones like you running around, or at least I hope you would. Like, you don't want people to think or be the same that you are. This is not what this planet is for. This is why we chose to live on a free will planet. And every single higher self I speak to through my readings are all like, stop comparing yourself to others. Stop trying to be someone else or make someone else into you. But from a larger perspective, what unity means, what unity consciousness, Christ consciousness, 5th dimensional consciousness is fully respecting everyone, respecting everyone's complete uniqueness of who they are at a soul level. Because every single one of us has a soul frequency. Our souls, that sovereign power within us, that never leaves us, that never, ever, 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 ever leaves us and can never be harmed. It's always there. What it does is it sets a magnetic frequency around us that attracts situations, people, emotions, whatever to us that we need to match our soul frequency to get to step through this life. We came with a contract of a soul. We have a soul frequency. And then what happens when we land on this planet, when we're born here, is we all of a sudden start at the same time. We still have that soul frequency, but we also start attaching to programs at the same time. So that soul frequency never leaves you. It's just there's programs that are kind of layering it. And what's happening right now as a collective and as an individual is we're releasing and we're letting go of those programs so that that soul frequency that's still there, that never left, can shine and attract everything that's still trying to come to us. So you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing that you that isn't coming towards you. You hear like manifest everything you need. It's like you already are. Whether you like it or not, whether you know how to or not, your soul frequency, that's what a creation being, we came with that contract here. We came with a contract that if we're meant to go to this crazy planet, we need everything that's meant for us to come our way. So all those things that are meant for us, for our highest good, are still coming our way. They're right on the outside of your aura waiting. But in order to get to you, you have to let go of those programs that you kind of picked up along the way that are kind of masking that soul frequency. Does that make sense? Like, you're not doing anything wrong. You just are learning how to let go. It's easier to let go of the programs, open those new doorways so that all that stuff that's meant for you can actually get to you. It's trying. Trust me, it's always trying to come to you. It's just hard when you have so many layers of programs. And so what we have to do first is release the programs. And to release the programs, you have to look at the programs, those ugly parts of yourself or of the collective that just, it's time to let them go. It's just time to let them go. And that can be scary. The biggest fear right now, and I was talking to my cousin about this over the Labor Day weekend, is the fear of the unknown. People, and my cousin said this as well, she noticed individuals will, even if they see that they're on a path to something that will hurt them, but they understand what the end consequence will be, in a weird way that still feels safer to them than doing something completely new and not knowing what the end situation will be. Does that make sense? I totally butchered that. So, Therese, if you're on here watching, comment below exactly what you said, because it was perfectly said. But it's just, we have such a program on this planet of fear of the unknown that we would rather, some of us would rather subconsciously or consciously go through this life living out programs that we know are still going to hurt us and not feel good, but we know what the end will look like because it's been done before. So it still feels kind of safe to us, even though it's fucking our lives up. Or we can let that all go, create something new, do something new with a leap of faith. And that brings about a fear. The fear of the unknown is so beautiful and such an, not the fear of the unknown, but the unknown is so beautiful and such an ally. But we're just used to attaching the program of fear to everything on this planet, that we think that the unknown has to be scary rather than just being what it is. It's just unknown. And when we do it from a place of faith and a place of love and compassion, we don't have to be scared of it. We don't even have to know what the end consequence or situation is going to look like. And we don't have to care. That's the thing a lot of us light workers are realizing, is all we know is that we're doing what we can right now and that we're doing something that feels right for the planet. Even though it's scary and it's unknown, we know it's the right thing to do. So just please continue on that path and stop trying to fight it and go back into the old ways of, well, if I do it this way, then at least I know what it'll look like in the end. It's like, that's why we're where we're at right now. The world is breaking down because we've been doing that for way too long. And there's nothing wrong with that. We had to do that in order to look at ourselves. Again, humans only change when we hit a certain level of pain. Pain makes humans change, and that's kind of messed up. So we're changing the world to be like, hey, how about we don't have to be in pain in order to want to change anymore. Let's just change because we realize that's probably the better thing to do. Okay. So I asked my guides, and I asked my guides to lead me to a section in the Sophia Code about what we wanted to talk about today as well. And they took me to this passage. I'm just going to read it really quick. So it says, it's Mary Magdalene's passage. I work very closely with Mary Magdalene. But this paragraph is, the neurological biofeedback of your body is extraordinary. It accurately and instantly tracks every thought that you are thinking, even before a thought is fully formed, with correlating emotions. Before a self-criticizing thought has finished its bidding remark about you, a physical pain or contraction can be felt within your body as emotional discomfort. Likewise, a positive thought about yourself will open and expand the wings of your heart before that thought is even formulated into words. This emotional feedback creates a magnetism towards what you want and a repulsion towards what no longer serves you. So that was after I even was like doing the channeling and everything. So I thought that was amazing that Mary Magdalene led me to that. And I, over the past like month or whatever, since I made my last video, I've taken a bunch of channeling notes, and I'm going to kind of go over them because it kind of works with emotions, which is so perfect with what my guides just made me open to the Sophia Code with. But, okay, so how do we want to start this? Okay, so from one perspective, from a higher perspective, everything on this planet is alive. You've probably heard that so many times. Everything is alive, and everything has a sacred geometric shape to it. In order to even be on this planet, because we are in one unified field of existence, we're just experiencing it differently from different avatars, from different bodies, but we all have the exact same light, the exact same source of creation within us. God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter, but there's one unified field of existence that we're all living from. I don't mean just humans or plants or animals. I mean objects, I mean emotions, I mean thoughts. Every single thing on this planet that you can think of has a sacred geometric shape, and it is alive. It is its own thing. So let's work with emotions. Emotions actually have, different emotions have their own shape. There's actually been, I'll try to find what the name of the invention was, but there's a group of individual scientists who created a machine that could literally track what the shape of an emotion is. And they would like hook up humans with monitors all over their bodies and display an emotion or an image that would make someone feel a certain emotion. And on the screen, you would see exactly what shape. And they did this with hundreds of individuals, and it was the same shape every time a person was feeling like happiness. They all saw the shape that popped up was all the same when someone was feeling happiness. So there's a sacred geometrical shape. Emotions are alive. Emotions are their own beings. Emotions are just here to work with us as humans. So again, when I say so if you say, I am angry, you're not. You are experiencing what it's like to work with the being of anger, or the emotional frequency, or the emotional shape of anger. And it's in your energetic field, and you're experiencing what it's like to work with it, or to have it communicating with you. But you are not anger. You are you. And that is something else that you're just experiencing. So the statement I am is so powerful. So be very careful with what you say when you, because when you say I am, you're choosing to fully embody that you are what you are saying. Because I am, that statement is your higher self. I am is just, you can just say I am, and you'll just feel a resonance of who you are. You'll feel your soul frequency that I was talking about. So instead of saying I am angry or I am stressed, even I am happy, say I'm experiencing anger. I'm experiencing working with happiness. Stop claiming the emotion. Because when I work with some of my clients on my healings, a lot of the times I'm like releasing these poor little like emotions. They look like they can take forms, again, as a geometric shape as their base, but they can also take whatever form they want to. But they're sometimes like cute little creatures that are stuck because this person is like, I am angry, and it embodied all this anger, and all these little beings of anger are like, God, I just want to like, I was just trying to like hang out with you. I'm not trying to stay in you forever. Like, let me go. So I'm like releasing and cutting cords and letting these little angry beings go. Because they're just doing their job. That person was feeling the energetic frequency of anger, attracted more anger to it. All these little beings of anger were like, oh, this person wants to talk to me. Let's go talk to him. And then the person embodied them instead of like said, oh, I'm just observing that you're here. I'm going to work with you and let you continue on your way. So from that perspective, sacred geometric forms all have like a base energy to make it a form. You don't have to really understand this, but I always like going kind of like right brain, left brain, science, woo-woo. So sacred geometry, that scientific base of an emotion. So to make a form, it has to have some level of energy. There has to be an energy or a frequency in order for something to take a form. And so again, what the frequency is an emotion. So the emotion of happiness is the base. Oh, it's 444 as I'm saying this. Is the base of the sacred geometric form of happiness. And so what's cool with sacred geometry or just sacred geometric shapes is you can combine them. That's what humans are, is we combined a bunch of shapes. It started with a sphere, and then it went to, there's so many shapes, I could get this wrong, but ended with the flower of life. And then we continued out, and then we started forming flesh. If you put flesh under that microscopic sacred geometric machine, you would see that our flesh has certain sacred geometric shapes. It's just, we're just a bunch of shapes put together that's holding our soul in place so that our soul can experience a physical reality. So sacred geometric shapes are like building blocks. You can put different shape, you can connect different shapes together. Sorry, I'm trying to talk very grounded and slow because this kind of goes all over. So one way to start this whole conversation is you need to know how to be vulnerable and ask for help, because when you are vulnerable, even help from your guides or help from your internal guidance or help from someone outside of you, regardless, vulnerability is key, because what it does is it softens your ego. Your ego does not like to be vulnerable or to ask for help. You hear the classic guy who won't ask for directions, like that's just that's just a lot of ego. But when you ask for help, it immediately softens the ego. You're telling your ego like, hey, I'm in charge here. I need help. Your ego goes, fine. And it just gets kind of quiet. And then you make enough space to get the help you need. So why I'm saying that is because you can do that with emotions. So your higher self is talking to you 24/7. It's also listening to you 24/7. Because it's a free will planet, you have to ask or invoke your guides or your higher self to do things for you. They are not just going to do things for you. They're trying to like guide you like on a path, like the bumpers on a bowling alley, but they can't physically manifest down to you until you ask for help, until you ask for something. So I learned this a while ago. Is I finally got vulnerable. I asked for help, and I was working with my emotions, and so I'm very clairvoyant, so I saw what was happening. So this is why I'm showing you, but you don't have to see this happening. I just like telling you on all levels of what's happening when you do this. So I was sitting there, I was meditating, and I started asking for help, and I basically was like, how should I base my emotions? What should my main emotions be that I work with? Or how can I invoke kind of building blocks and build emotions off of each other in order to like serve my highest good or to serve others? And so what they had me do as I was meditating and my higher self guided me, so I do this every morning now, it's very fast, is I invoke the first 3 emotions that make me that allows my body to create space in order for a main emotion to be worked with. And so I'm just going to say the 3 emotions first, and then I'll explain it deeper. So I was sitting there, and the order that my higher self made me go was, I asked, so I was saying, hey, I need help. So I said, how can I? So how can I feel means you're asking your higher self, like, hey, show me what this feels like. So if I say, hey, I'm being vulnerable, how can I ask, or how can I feel innocence? So innocence was the first one. How can I feel innocence? And I would just feel how my body would shift. I would feel my energetic, emotional frequency of my body shift and feel what innocence felt like. And then if it didn't feel that strong, I'd go, okay, stronger. How can I feel innocence? Stronger, stronger, until I just felt very innocent. You don't have to, that might feel different for everyone, but I would continue with that. And what I was seeing at the same time is I saw this sacred, I didn't know at the time that it was innocence, but now after my studies, I'm like, oh my God, I was seeing the geometric form of innocence. So I saw innocence, it kind of formed at my heart, but it doesn't matter where it goes, but you'll mostly feel it at your heart. So I said, how can I feel the emotion of innocence? And I saw the building block there. And then my higher self led me to, okay, the second step after that is, how can I feel vulnerability? So after innocence, it opens up this space to be innocent. And from there, a building block of vulnerability was put on top of my innocence building block. So I was innocent and I was vulnerable. So I said, how can I feel innocent? How can I feel vulnerable? Okay, more vulnerable, more vulnerable. And you'll feel your ego stepping in here, because your ego goes, that's so dangerous. You cannot be vulnerable. Oh my God, like, you are way too open. You have way too much space inside of you. You're going to die. You're going to feel all of this. It's okay. Don't judge your ego. It's just like a 4-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. Mine's kind of like a 16-year-old like brat right now. So just work with it like a teenager. Like, hey, I'm in charge right now. It's okay. I love you, but shh. Anyways, so I go innocence, vulnerability, and then peace is the third one. How can I feel more peace? And then this building block of peace came on top of my innocence and vulnerability. So again, how can I feel innocence? How can I feel vulnerability? How can I feel peace? And what happened after that? It's like these three geometric shapes formed, and when they all stuck together, it formed this sphere. It was wild. So it was kind of like a triangle, a square, and a circle. And when all three built together, innocence, vulnerability, and peace, it created this like 3D sphere that just expanded around my body. I felt so like expanded. I don't know how else to describe it. That then from there, my higher self goes, now name whatever emotion you want to feel. So then I would say abundance or love or happiness. And I realized what I did is I made the temple floor, I gave my emotion of whatever I was wanting to invoke a base to work off of. Because if you say, I want to feel happiness, but you're not feeling innocence, vulnerable, or peace before that, it might be hard to feel a lot of happiness. Or I want to feel abundance or love or joy or like comedy. What it can be anything. It can even be like anger, anything. But what happens is you need emotions work stronger if they have building blocks. Does that make sense? And that you might not have to do this, but I've just found that it's way easier for me to go on throughout my day if I have a building block for all of my emotions. So again, say you want to feel joy. So I sit there and I say, how can I feel more innocence? And then either I'm okay with the amount of innocence I'm feeling, or I say more until I intuitively know, okay, I feel very innocent. And then I say, how can I feel more vulnerability? And then more vulnerable. That's hard to say. And then once I feel vulnerable enough, I say, okay, so it's a little building block. Third step, how can I feel more peace? And then peace comes in, and it kind of like anger is just like the, okay, I am just open. Here I go. Now, how can I feel more? And what, name the emotion, like insert emotion. That's what you do right there. That is a very powerful thing to do, I found out. And then when I started doing that, I realized it started shifting everyone around me. I don't actually fully understand how that's working yet. Some of you out there, reply to me if you know what's happening. It's probably like a mirror effect or something's happening. But since I have such strong building blocks, again, we're all just mirrors for each other. And when I'm just embodying those building blocks on top of whatever emotion I invoked, and you can do, I've noticed you can do as many as you want. It's not like you can just do one a day. I can do, this is my morning routine I do, whatever you want to feel for that day. It's like how I kind of like structure and set in my intentions. And it's fun because you get to play with, oh my God, this is what my higher self, this is how my higher self shows me and how my higher self works with me. But other people started shifting as well, is what I was saying, as I was mirroring for them. Or maybe I wasn't getting as triggered, and it shifted me into a timeline where I wasn't in situations where I was triggered anymore, because that's a thing too. So that was super cool. Let me check my notes quick. So yeah, I have emotions have a structure, a shape, a base, or roots. So you can structure your love with innocence, vulnerability, and peace. So, just want to make sure I got all my points here. So, in regards to emotions and responding to so intention and attention. So again, I talked about this a little in my last video, but attention. So we are, okay, this entire world, this entire planet is consciousness in form. We are pure consciousness. We are one unified field. And then what our bodies are is it's just a form to hold that consciousness in place. Consciousness is pure power. Pure power you can either be scared of or you can use to help the world. And so what's happening is consciousness can be moved. How consciousness moves is with attention and intention. So attention is what you place your attention on. Again, what you place your attention on expands, but that's besides this point. So attention is what you place your attention on. And then intention is how you make the consciousness move and do something. It's like the wind behind the sail there. It's like, I'm going to place my attention on my heart. And now with intention, I'm going to move my consciousness into my heart. There's like the two steps. So attention kind of locks your eyesight in place, and intention makes that consciousness move to whatever you're wanting to do. It's the intention. It's the actual like movement of your attention and consciousness. So again, it's all about what you base your attention off of. So all emotions, again, have a base floor, a temple floor, for a higher vibrational perspective. So you can start looking at everything from a higher perspective. So say you're in a very confrontational situation, or you're tapping into fear, or you're watching the news, or you're all the shit going on in the world, you're like, what the hell is happening? Instead of spiraling down and placing your attention and expanding the sphere, do the building blocks. Say, okay, I'm experiencing fear. I'm not fear. But at the same time, how can I feel more innocence, vulnerability, and peace? How can I feel more joy? How can I feel more gratitude? And then you'll still see the fear, but you'll notice that you're looking at it from a higher perspective. And then you're just kind of neutral. It keeps you very just observant. You won't be triggered as much. You will notice that you won't want to speak up as much, because sometimes speaking up doesn't help anything. It's just your ego trying to get your point across. So everything, the key is perspective. You want to look at things from perspective. It's not about trying to change everything that's happening. It's about looking at it differently, or loving yourself even more as you're looking at those parts of you. So stressful situations can be based either off of fear or based off of neutrality and observing, like I just mentioned. So you'll still feel the emotions, but your awareness or your attention will consciously understand that it's just an experience and you're able to observe it. So anchor and hope. Okay, so hope is a huge one. If you're feeling, especially with the collective things that are coming up right now, with the children, with the presidents, with COVID, with the vaccines, with whatever, hope is a huge one, and faith. So innocence, vulnerability, peace, hope. Innocence, vulnerability, peace, faith. Those are very beneficial to tap into and to have your higher self embody inside of you when you're looking at all of that shit going on. So that's a big one. And then, I have play with it. Your inner child also loves to help out with this. Inner children love to play. This is like a game to them. You're like, ooh, how can I attract the shape of joy? And it's like, oh, this is how. That's really cool. So come at it from a very innocent, of course, you're embodying innocence and vulnerability, which is your inner child. So what did I write here? I'm just going to read it. So I have the unified existence is expanding into one. You are communicating with yourself, and communication with yourself and others is an essential part of the integration process. Seeing from the eyes of love shifts you into unity. This is necessary. Listen and integrate. I have drink a lot of water. That's huge right now. Working with water. I think I said that last time, but water is both physical and energetic. So it helps your physical body heal, but also your energy bodies on the outside and inside of you. The water also can seep into that. So setting intention behind your water, focusing your attention on water, setting an intention of what you want the water to do, because water is alive. Oh my God, water is so alive, and it's always listening. It just needs to be structured. The electrons, the molecules, the electrons need to be blessed, need to be fed with energy, because what's happening with all the shit that's put into our water now, or when you microwave water or something, is it kills the electrons or the molecules around water. So it's called unstructured water. And when you put that in your body, it unstructures the water in your body. And so put the intention to structure it. And also on top of that, what you want your water to do, what water does, and Kuan Yin and the Sophia Code works with this, is water finds those places within you that you're kind of too scared to look at. Water's like, all right, I got this. I'll show you what you got to look at, and it'll go and start healing and softening those places, those hard edges in you. Seek for inspiration in unusual places. I was told to say that. Seek for inspiration in unusual places. A lot of us are having a lot of ideas and creativity frequencies within us, and we don't really know what to do or what that might look like. And we feel kind of stuck. The classic brainstorming process we're all in. Get outside, go somewhere, drive somewhere you might not have before, listen to a Spotify channel you might not have listened to before. Seek for inspiration in unusual places, because we're not meant to be doing things the same way anymore. That's huge right now. Okay, I think I got that. Sorry, I just want to make sure I get all, yeah. Okay, so they said the next 5 to 9 months are going to be very transformative. I've had a lot of dreams about spaceships and clouds lately, so I'm hoping to get more clarification on that. But regardless, the next 5 to 9 months, something from a higher dimensional existence is trying to communicate with us, as well as us just shifting. Maybe we're meeting them in the higher dimensional frequencies. So we're moving towards that. So as that happens, as our spiritual, mental, and emotional bodies shift higher and higher, our physical bodies are going to try to keep up. So you're going to be feeling way more tired than usual, and kind of almost less motivated. That's not meant to not motivate you, but I just want to validate for you that you're not crazy, and that this is very normal. As a collective, we're all going to be feeling very tired and less motivated. But again, just set that frequency. Don't try to change that. Just understand that you have the ability to build blocks of emotions in you that may assist you to kind of shift out of that. But don't be scared to withdraw. Listen to whatever your body's saying right now, because it feels kind of like quiet. Everyone's kind of like, I want to make these big life decisions, but I don't really know what's about to happen in this world. Things feel weird. How can I make this decision right now? It's like, just take your time. If you make the decision and it shifts, whatever, like, that's okay. Don't live in the future. Be present. But a lot of sisterhood circles or brotherhood circles, basically circles, energetic circles, meetings, people being, it was physically meetings and circles are meant to happen and will be coming about much more. Or if you're drawn to holding circles or meditation circles or some sort of work with other souls. So it's working in a community. But what was happening is the Celtic knots were very prevalent in this vision that my guides were showing me. And they were like, this is meant to happen. This is going to happen. But if you're being drawn to like holding classes or teaching classes or doing something with a circle of individuals, whether you're paid for it or it's just a fun weekend thing you do it. This is your sign. But yeah, so this is your sign to do it if you've been drawn to holding those circles. So holding energy circles is the term they used. We're going through a huge, obviously, growth of spiritual growth and a self-love growth. So we're connecting our spiritual bodies to our physical bodies. That's what's happening. That's why we feel like we're kind of on a teeter-totter or a roller coaster of life right now on an individual level. Obviously, collectively, we are too. But we are walking into the connection of our spiritual body to our physical body. Gaining our personal power. Now you understand that was never lost. We're just learning how to work with it and release things in order to allow our personal power to just continue to magnetize everything to us. So you don't have to work on your personal power. I don't want you to think you have to like strengthen your own personal power. You already have it. It's already super strong. You just got to let go of things around you so that it can do its job. Okay, that's a very big one. Fitness, physically active, being very physically active, releasing a lot of energies around you are huge. I have fitness is a very, like, moving your body is about 75% very, very important. And the other 25% is kind of that like spiritual aspect of yourself. It's going to come to a 50-50, but right now, for some reason, a lot of people are meant to be physically moving and running around. Just run around. That's what you should all do. Yeah, promoting the metaphysical existence is going to be very strong. People, like you've already been seeing, a lot of people are just going to be very drawn to this work. And so stepping into your power, if you are drawn to teaching this work or to helping people figure out what to do, but not being scared of it. This is the new normal. Welcome to the new metaphysical realm of everyday life. And yeah, and then working on your body in order to work on your mind, and vice versa, working on your mind in order to work on your body. Let me see if there's any other points they want to make here. So yeah, compassion's huge. We have, curiosity, thank you, is key. Being very curious about everything that's happening, but just observing it from the understanding of, hey, I'm just being curious about this. I'm not trying to figure out all the answers, and I'm not trying to put myself in the fear mindset or the ego mindset. It's not a competition. All of our higher selves just came as one right now and told me it is not a competition. Stop competing with others. Stop competing with yourself. Make space for yourself. Make space for the love. Make space for the emotions, to be the building blocks that they're meant to be. That's what emotions are on this planet to be. We just haven't been using them that way. And now we're learning how to use them from a different perspective. That's what this is all about. Okay, I think that was a lot. I kind of went all over the board here. So hopefully that all resonates with you deeply. I'm sending so much love from my sacred heart to all of yours. Just stay in your hearts, stay in your own internal present vibration. Don't try to shift your consciousness or spread your consciousness too thin. A lot's coming up right now. Keep setting the intention that the truth be shown. We're almost to November, which is obviously going to get a little crazier. And so, even regardless of what happens with the presidential elections, setting the intention that the truth is shown about everything in this world. It's going to be, but as long as we back it up, it's just going to be that much easier to shift into the higher timelines faster. The more that more of us just go, okay, I'm on this timeline now. I might see the other timeline and feel the other timeline, but I know that I can't physically let myself get into that timeline. Don't be scared that you're going to fall into the darkness. You're not going to. Every single one watching this video is in the light. We are in the light. The darkness is just doing its job. It's doing it really well. The darkness really likes responsibility. It's time that we like to like responsibility just as much. And so let's do our job now. This is what we're here to do. Okay? We're in this together. So I will leave you with that. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your night. I'm so excited to continue to connect with you all. Yeah, and we will just touch base soon. Mwah. So much love to you. Talk to you soon. Bye.